Welcome to majc.ai, the operating system for hospitality. At Magic, we know an operating system is more than just software and systems. It's about people, because hospitality is nothing without them. So supporting the hospitality community is our number one goal.
I think there needs to be more of a support system. Like, you have to love this business and you have to love every aspect of it, including sharing tribal knowledge on what is successful and also tribal knowledge of what is a failure.
Founded by lifelong experts, we're building the place where everyone in hospitality, from seasoned pros to first-timers, can gather, share, and grow together. Plus, we're crafting scalable tools and AI-supported software to boost your business. Dive into our vibrant community platform packed with meaningful conversations and robust tools and templates designed just for you. Need more? Our custom software solutions have got you covered. From recruiting and staffing to digital playbooks and dashboards, we're working on building a unique hub of resources unlike any other. Magic is your single point of origin for important conversations, accessible tools, valuable insights, and more. Join us at majc.ai. The evolution of hospitality is here.
Employee retention starts before you even open the doors, and you have to be able to build in a bare minimum cost of living increase, and you have to have performance-based metrics for bonuses that are attainable.
Tell me about this, the employee retention beast, because we're in a fucked up time right now, like we just are, and I think we're all willing to admit that. And by that I mean, post COVID has become its own era, right? And we have seen a great amount of talent flee from kitchens. It's like somebody said to me the other day in one of these interviews, "Where have all the chef de cuisines gone? Like, where are they?" And I think we're in a moment right now to really position ourselves to find ways to continue to make this industry attractive to people. There's a lot of folks like you who are socially aware and are making decisions within your four walls that actually help better the lives of the people that work for you. But just finding, training, and retaining those people is become very difficult.
Yeah. And let's not address maybe the first two right now, because we're talking about retention, right?
Yep.
Finding and training is an assumed gigantic cost, both of time, money, and sort of your bandwidth, and they're paramount. But they only back up all of the maybe opinions that I have of the next part that maybe aren't that popular. Employee retention starts before you even open the doors. When you look at your labor costs, specifically your manager percentage versus sales, you got to put that thing up 30% higher than it was traditionally. And you have to be able to build in a bare minimum cost of living increase, and you have to have performance-based metrics for bonuses that are attainable, right? Those are the sort of things that you got to put on, take pen to paper before you start to accept money or contracts or P&Ls or budgets for the following year. It's never too late. You could be a restaurant that's been running for 25 years and jump back in and redo those numbers, but you got to relook at them. It's not the days, and I'm in the preface, sort of air quote everything. I'm in Chicago pricing market, so comp to major cities in America, but you're not finding a CDC for $70,000. You're not finding a sous chef for $50,000. It just doesn't. It doesn't exist.
Days are over.
They're over, and you're not working those guys, quote unquote, as we used to say in New York, the French work week, right? 6 days a week. And then on the fourth week of the month, they get a 5-day work week.
Well, and those days are over. I would like to say kind of rightly so.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
It's like, can we pay our people the wage that they deserve to do the job that is expected, that is really fucking hard? That's something we should all be striving for.
Absolutely. And all of these sort of the sea change of perception and reality inside of the managerial and hourly pool it's worth it. And is, in the arc of sort of where we see the industry, this will be a time of change that will forever affect what restaurants are and the future of restaurants, right? And and when we come back to the idea of retention, right? So we're talking about maximizing the dollar annual salary that we can have, right? We're ensuring that they have their eye on the prize, which is quality, right? Retention as well. and cost. Those are the sort of three banners that you have to sort of mark all of your manager team upon. And when we talk about our scorecard we go over weekly, all of those are reflected on a weekly basis. We have feedback from employees that are hourly. We have feedback from managers and corporate team based on our performance that are based on our nightly notes on service. And then we have cost percentage for hourly and cost percentage for food. And it's something that is, it's a delineated budget, but it's also something that we talk about every single week because stuff goes up and stuff goes down. But we go back to the idea of what is our chef's jobs. And that's also a place where I find myself sort of really putting the horse blinders on, and as much as I want my chefs to, whatever, let's say butcher every piece of fish, that may not fall in their purview. I'd much
Right.
rather them teach somebody how to cut the fish and be 5% off on the margin there, especially in the beginning. So that way I know that my chefs aren't working 85 hours a week, right?
Yeah.
I know that my chefs aren't, their days vary. They're still 13-hour days, but they're netting less than 65 hours a week,
Yep.
and
Yep.
hopefully they're netting less than 60. But ultimately, that comes down to their ability to manage a team in a way that's effective and efficient.
Yep. You mentioned bonus structure and bonus programs. Can we just dig into that for a second? Because it's always been something that is really important to me in my restaurants and the restaurants I've led, either as owner and operator or consultant and advisor or CEO of a restaurant company. When I was fulfilling that role, designing proper bonus programs that will inspire and kind of help them engage in their work is so critical. And I'm wondering how you approach that because I did it from two different areas. I did it from financial, them having financial acumen and ownership over their domain within the business, but also operationally. Like there would definitely be operational targets that I would love to see them hit that fell outside of their normal job description. How do you address those things?
Yeah, in terms of the way you set, again, this all of this stuff comes up to the sort of uh, the base of your budget before you go into your year, the base of your P&L before you go into your year. And I think it's an easy place for ownership, whether they have culinary experience or not, to be, sort of me first as opposed to being business first, right? I mean, I'm not trying to lean on an old adage, but are we in it for the long dollar or are we in it for the quick buck?
Mhm.
And once you decide you're in it for the long dollar, you're in it to make and sort of and continue to succeed inside of your space. You just have to put those performance based bonuses, whatever is important to you, before you put your profit split in there, right? Pay
Yeah, and
your
it's
that
something anybody can do, right? Like whether
anybody
you're
can
a
do it.
mom and shop
Yep.
pizza,
Yep. Yep.
restaurant, all the way up to a fine dining.
Right. Yeah. You pay your cost of goods, you pay your rent, you pay your employees, and then you take your performance based bonus. And then after that, you take out all of your, whatever your profit split is. And that's the
Yep.
way it has to fall. And that's the way you have to define it to the team because so many of us, especially those with experience, have been promised the world and delivered a pile of shit. Right. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I've worked for. And I'm not even saying it's the operator's fault all the time. Sometimes it's overpromise, underdeliver. Sometimes it's I just set up a fucked up bonus system that none of us can achieve, and that's why none of us are getting it. And there's a lack of transparency, which leads to frustration, which leads to resentment, which leads to employees leaving the building. And
Yep.
we're coming back to the original question, which is how did I how do I have 100% of my BOH managers still in the building 2.5 years into this space? And it comes down to, you know, competitive rate, attainable bonuses. I mean, this is out of everyone's control. I'm in a very easy to get to location.
Mhm.
There's 4 major train lines, 7 major bus lines, and parking available near the restaurant. That shouldn't be part of everybody's equation, but that is a luxury that I like to calculate and afford inside of this unit that I am in specifically right now. And then lastly, and most importantly, is the culture. And this comes back to sort of my management style now versus my management style as a young gun, right? As an old veteran versus a young gun. And I think it's this, you know, I'm not going to say hands off, but allowing these chefs to operate the restaurant as if they were learning it for the first time all the time. But giving
Uh,
them a very long opportunity to learn and to create and to grow, and being super patient with them, right? I think that's the most important thing, because I look at it not necessarily as the restaurant will never be as good as if I'm doing everything, but I can't do everything.
yeah.
I've already proved to myself I'll die if I do that, right? But I can, I can understand what the quality parameters are and what, is acceptable, and teach that to the team. And I can allow them to make mistakes. I mean, I'll make a microcosm of an example of it right now. My team wanted to put an octopus dish on as an entree. They believed in it. I mean, especially since that guy fell in love with that octopus on Netflix, I know it's not going to work, right? I know our guests, I know our PMix, I know our
Nobody wants
location.
6 ounces of tentacle. Yeah.
No, but it's the kind of thing where they felt really strong about it. And I knew we weren't going to lose our ass in it. So I allowed them to do it. And it was a great dish. And it was a great idea. And they sort of spoke to their case, and I said, "Go ahead, let's give it a month," and it did. And of course, we moved back to an appetizer, and it's selling way better.
Yeah.
But those are the little things that I think allow them to sit back and look at, like, why does Chef look at the PMix in a way of dogs versus horses versus question marks? How does that affect how he thinks about a dish as an entree? Why does he understand? And they start to dig into the way that I look at it too. Or, last month as well was a crazy month in Chicago, and 70% of our guests, I mean, this stat's crazy, were first time diners.
Wow.
70%.
Wow. That's
So
insane.
it's insane. And that's also another thing that leads me to believe, okay, it's not going to be octopus. It's going to be grilled
Yeah.
chicken. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
I'm
And
overstating it, but like that's a reality that we
well,
need
but
to adapt to.
sometimes they have to learn that on your dime, right?
Yeah.
They just do,
Yes.
right? That's
Yeah.
an important exercise, right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. I love
And
that.
I think, again, back to the location that we're in a building where there's a 7 to 11 million people coming in this building for the first time, every single year, and they
Yeah.
may never come back again. So this might be a microcosm to me, but doesn't mean you can't learn from the inverse. If 70% of your guests are return guests, maybe you can take a bigger risk on a dish like that, because you've built up the goodwill and the trust of your patrons, because you have so much repeat diners, that you can put on an octopus entree and you'll see sales that we wouldn't see here. But that all comes back to the opportunity and the insight that I use sort of from my years of experience, and for letting my team make these minor mistakes, or minor I don't know, I don't want to call it a mistake, because that's not the right perspective, right? It's allowing them to operate the place in way, in a way that maybe I wouldn't. That'll help teach them a lesson long term.